I've been thinking a long time about whether or not to make this video. I've had the idea for this video for quite a while now, and I think one of the reasons I was hesitant to put it out is it has much more of an introspective nature and much more of a philosophical nature than the usual stuff that I kind of make on this channel, which is very heavily focused on music production and the music I make. So I hope you guys don't mind me pausing that to kind of make something that is slightly more introspective, slightly more philosophical, and just explore this character with you. I think the wonderful thing about literature is the opportunities it gives us to look at the deeper things of life through a different lens. When we first meet Tom Bombadil in The Lord of the Rings, honestly, he feels quite out of place compared to some of the other characters. He kind of shows up, they stay at his house for a while, he has this wife that he really adores, and then he sings, he laughs, he actually holds the ring, looks at it and, just throws it a little bit and then hands it back. The ring has no effect on him. And this character then disappears from the books after that and really doesn't come back. And so it makes it seem like Tom Bombadil was just a random character that Tolkien threw in. But I don't think that's the case. I think that even though Tom Bombadil seems like a random side character, that he is an essential character to the narrative, an essential truth that Tolkien wanted to convey through his writing. At one point in The Lord of the Rings, at the Council of Elrond, the idea is actually floated of Tom Bombadil taking the ring and being the one responsible for it. But Gandalf replies that it simply isn't a good idea to give it to Tom. He says,
"Say rather that the ring has no power over him. He is his own master, but he cannot alter the ring itself, nor break its power over others. And if he were given the ring, he would soon forget it, or most likely throw it away. Such things have no hold on his mind. He would be a most unsafe guardian."
What's interesting to note here is that in a world that is currently subject to domination, war, and people seeking power, Tom Bombadil is unaffected by this. He has no desire for power, and yet he is an extremely powerful being. If we let that sink in for a second, that makes him a very unusual creature. Now, it's not that Tom Bombadil is omnipotent. He's not all-powerful. His power resides mainly within his domain, but he doesn't lust after power. He doesn't lust after influence. In all that is playing out in The Lord of the Rings, Tom Bombadil doesn't play the game. He's not wanting power. He's not even tempted by the idea of more power. The whole central plot of the entire book series doesn't relate to him. But he still sings, he still creates, he still is himself. And in that, he is resisting. A question I always had for myself when I read The Lord of the Rings was, how come, if Tom Bombadil can't take the ring, how come he can't join in this armed struggle against Sauron? Why can't he use his powers to fight back? And the reason for that, I think, is that Tom Bombadil's character, his archetype, is not designed for that. Aragorn, in the story, is a hero archetype. He's supposed to embrace his destiny of becoming the king of Gondor and actually have an armed struggle against Mordor and show what good stewardship and good kingship does for people. He's supposed to be a liberator. But Tom Bombadil doesn't quite play this part the same. Tom Bombadil is a character that is the antithesis of Sauron. You see, everything Sauron conquers, he seeks to destroy or break down first, and to change it into what he believes is the correct thing. And the goal of all this is power. Power structures, and the power structure, of course, has Sauron at the top. This means that Mordor, in a way, represents industrialization, the destroying of natural resources to create something else, and of course, the stripping of all beauty in order to achieve power. Tom Bombadil represents the opposite. He creates and he flourishes and he brings laughter and joy, not to win and not to win over people or influence them. He does it just out of love for creation, out of love for the joy and the mirth that it will bring to those that he's with.
But you are young, old, eldest. That's what I am.
What do you mean, eldest?
Eldest. Mark my words, friend. Tom was there before the river and the trees. Tom remembers the first raindrop and the first acorn. He knew the dark under the stars when it was fearless.
Now, let's instead talk about you and me as artists. As a culture, especially with the internet, the constant question for artists is, what's your brand? What are you about? Who's your audience? Who is this going to? Where is your power coming from, in a sense? But I think there's power in the notebook, the sketchbook that lies unopened, unviewed. There's power in the songs that were ideas that never got released. There's power in the joy of making for the sake of making. In my opinion, creativity without the need to monetize or gain from it is very important, and it is far from meaningless. If anything, it could be one of the most meaningful things we can do for ourselves. The way I see it, Tom Bombadil's acts of creation were a symbol of resistance, because Tom Bombadil created in spite of the darkness. He created in spite of the threats, and he created in spite of the fact that it would not amount him any more power. He created simply to create. He created because that's what he was created to do. And here's where I feel that I really learned something from the character. My art doesn't have to change the world to matter. It doesn't need to always have a huge struggle against oppression. It doesn't always need to be political. It doesn't always need to be sellable or hit a large target audience. It doesn't always need to win. Our art can bring joy to the small things. Your song, your sketch, your writing, these are acts of stewardship, not of conquest. Your creations can be creations made for the sake of creating. They don't have to be an overwhelming fire. They can be a flame, a candle in the dark, a will-o-wisp leading the way home. Like Tom, your destiny might not be to fight the darkness in an armed struggle. Your destiny might be to light a lamp, to plant a tree, to whisper a poem in the darkness, to sing a song at the top of your lungs, to dance like no one's watching. So, consider this your invitation. Be like Tom. Put your art into the world. Not for monetary gain, not for power, but just because. The act of creation in itself is a form of resistance.